Your Hollywood system stole our sex and co-opted our violence, so there's nothing left for our kinds of movies.
Movie.
I did not hit her. It's not true.
Klopex? Klopex. Klopek.
Up yours, baby.
Me and Bubba, my little brother, listen to you every night.
Where in the hell are we?
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
Hey guys, and welcome to this week's episode of Cult Film in Review. I am your host, Cody Everett, and this week we are doing Return to Oz. Hey guys, make sure you follow us on Twitter at cultfilm_review. Make sure you follow us on Facebook. You can all follow us individually, but we'll get into that later. We're talking about Return to Oz. It's a Disney film. It could be the best one, or it could be the worst one. We're going to let you know with our thoughts about the movie. So, you know what? Without saying much else, let's start the show. Hey guys, welcome to Cult Film and Review. This week we're doing Return to Oz. We're having a good time here. We're going to talk about our week a little bit. I'm Cody Everett, your host. You can find the show on Twitter at cultfilm_review. Jesus, I just said it, but you can find it there. You can also find us all individually at other places. You can find me on Instagram at official Cody Everett. I'll be there. I had a pretty good week. My nephew graduated 8th grade graduation, which is not a big deal, I don't think, but he didn't think it was a big deal either, so it's not like it crushed his dreams or anything.
I think that's the age where you look really stupid.
Everyone is like
Everybody
in between.
Nobody looks attractive at all at 7th
And that was
grade.
that was very true, and it was funny because it's also that time in life where you're just embarrassed by your parents, and like every kid's parents were there like 10 times. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, because it was like they call a name, they'd be like, Steve Gonzalez, and Steve Gonzalez parents would go nuts, and Steve Gonzalez would turn like bright fucking red because he's like, God damn it. Like when they said it was so funny when they said my nephew's name, my whole family was silent.
No one cheered.
No one cheered, and
You
I thought,
fucking assholes.
I know. We didn't.
Should have brought air horns.
Someone did.
I
No one
wouldn't.
cheered. No one cheered, and I thought to myself, I bet he appreciated that.
he looked over his shoulder and gave a thumbs up.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I
Thanks,
always
family.
love when I'm like surprised by it. You know, when you're sitting in with all the families and then somebody's name gets called and everybody just erupts like at the exact same time, and you're like, holy shit! It's like a gunshot just went off in here. So
And then you get up there, you get like, woo.
yeah, you don't want to be following that crowd.
Yeah, no.
No, the air horn was funny because like the lady was like said the first name because they had a screen up of the kids and it goes in alphabetical order so everyone can figure out where their kid lies in
Yeah,
this. You know what I mean?
more or less.
So like they knew their kid was coming. She's in the middle of the name. She's like Anthony, and you just hear Anthony, and she like stutters because of the thing, and I laughed.
What was it? An air horn?
Yeah, someone brought an air horn to an 8th grade graduation.
Oh yeah, I went to my mom's graduation. She got her associates, and it was the same thing. Nothing had changed from high school. It was like all the same shit in the college graduation, where it was like some families were silent and some families had the air horns and the whole fucking parade going. The whole, you know what I mean? So
Did you bring an air horn?
no,
You should have
but
brought that rap air horn, like. You should have brought one of those.
oh my god, isn't that in like every Drake song? I don't know.
Yeah, I think so.
Anyways, enough about 8th grade graduation. Mike, how was your week? Where can people find you at?
Oh, they can find me at Mike Salustio on Twitter. And my week was pretty good. Yeah, I worked a lot. It was the Triple Crown, and I work in horse racing, so
I don't know what that is.
the Triple Crown. It's the Kentucky Derby, the Preakness, and the Belknap Stakes.
Oh,
And now, of course, there's just all this hype about whether or not if a horse hasn't won all 3 races in like, I don't know, 75 years, something like that, and this horse has won 2.
So it's right there.
So it's right
It could
there,
happen
but this
again.
happens a lot. So history will tell you this horse will not win the Belmont Stakes for whatever reason.
So people are going to bet on that like insanely for it to win.
And no one will make any money off of it.
Yeah.
It's going to be
Hold on while
dead
we
favorite, sorry.
turn off the fan.
Yeah.
Let's take a pause to turn off the fan.
Turn off the fan.
The thing I like about Cult Film and Review is that we're always professional.
Yeah. We're always prepared.
You
Yes.
know, and we're always hot. So
And we're not afraid to take risks.
yeah. So the Belmont Stakes are coming. Sorry.
No, I'm done.
Oh,
That's it. There's not
All
really
right.
much more to talk about it.
Chris, how was your week?
My week was pretty good. Like I said, I went to my mom's graduation.
Oh, that was this week.
It was last week.
Okay.
It was last week on Friday.
We took a little bit of a break, and we're gonna tell you why here in a minute when we get to the other person in the room.
The reality won an award for
Oh,
best
yeah,
film.
man.
Oh, congratulations! Yeah.
Thank you.
Where was that at?
That was at my school, Glendale Community College, that I made with like the guys there. So
Nice.
it was cool. And then my week was overall decent. I saw the weirdest thing on the freeway today that I think I've ever seen in my life. Maybe like my brain couldn't comprehend what I was looking at. So I'm going down the freeway, and a guy in a shitty BMW that looks like it was taken out to the desert and like burned and smashed comes like putting down the fucking middle lane. And I look over, and his front driver's side wheel is literally off the ground. The wheel is not touching the asphalt as it's moving. And I'm like, what the fuck? And then like I see the car kind of like tip a little bit and come back and tip, and it's like kind of wobbling weird. This tire must have been too small for the car. And I never thought I would see a car driving on three wheels, but this car was driving on three wheels, and that was just like a little stand
he probably
for it.
took it out.
Was
to
it
the-
like an old BMW?
No, it looked actually pretty new. It just looked really fucked up.
I wonder if they took it out to the desert and like the frame was bent or something. So like
I
it's
just
not
didn't know it was
sitting
possible
square
to drive
anymore.
on three wheels, and I was like, "Is
Well,
my
it's definitely
eyes
not
playing
safe.
trick on?" Yeah,
Definitely not.
It was making a really weird noise too, but it was like it was something that I'd never seen before. My brain had a hard time comprehending what I was looking at. I was like, "Is that even possible to do that?" I
like
guess
how-
it is.
After you saw this, you just went on with your day. Like, I hope he
No.
doesn't kill someone.
No, I mean, I said I literally said out loud, like, "What the fuck is that?" to myself in my car.
All right, Kyle. Where can people find you at? How was your a couple of weeks or a couple of days? Was it days?
What are you talking about? Oh, yeah. Hi, my name's Kyle. Yeah, you can find me on Facebook. You can find me on Instagram under Pliskin426. My week was awesome. Like you said, we did take a week off. I was on vacation. I was in Jamaica.
Yeah, how was that?
Fucking awesome.
Yeah, did you get wasted?
I got so fucking trashed. I was in an all-inclusive resort, so booze was free, which didn't really. I didn't really comprehend what that meant until I was at the bar the first day, and I drank, and in 3 hours I was out cold. It was like 4:30 p.m. I was out, just out like a light, just done, and I woke up at like 3 in the morning that evening.
No memory of what had happened.
No, there's plenty of memories. Just a lot of vomit and a lot of uncomfortable and a lot of sadness and just hating the booze going in. And I remember every drink because the thought of them to this day still makes me kind of sick. So
I'll tell you, free booze is like becoming a vampire. On the outset, it sounds amazing, and then you realize that it's a curse.
yeah, because it's like you feel like there's some that you have to uphold some like your end of the bargain. Like
Yeah.
I paid for free booze, you're gonna give me free booze. I have to drink those, and I have to drink as much of it as you're willing to give me. Like otherwise,
And they're willing to give
I'm
you
not doing
as
my
much
job.
as possible.
Yeah, right.
And-
What did they get out of that?
It's so funny because you're trying to get your money's worth, but you're not getting your money's worth.
No.
It's fucking free. But you're used to fucking money rules. Somebody
Yeah.
gives you a shot, you have to do that shot. 'Cause
Yeah.
somebody spent good money for it.
Exactly. Like
not here.
You want to honor that person and that charitable donation of that shot. Here it's just like, here's a shot, and it's like, okay, and you throw it. And here's
Yeah.
another one, okay. And it's like, wait a minute, why am I sprinting out to like drunkenness?
Oh,
I should
do the
just be
bartenders try to keep it rolling?
Oh my god, hell yes.
Oh God, that's dangerous.
Because you probably have to tip them every drink, right?
That
you,
is
you technically don't have to. I was an awesome.
Well, you don't technically
I'm
have
an
to do it
awesome
anywhere.
person, so I brought with me like $75 in ones, and I was tipping like a couple bucks every drink,
God, it's like a strip club.
Getting real generous towards the end there.
Did you make it
no,
rain?
No, I did. What's up?
Did you make it rain?
Yeah,
I
exactly.
brought $75 worth of ones.
Oh,
I was trying to hit up a Jamaican strip
no,
club.
we-
It didn't happen.
Everybody
We-
was practically sucking my dick.
I don't know about that. Not in Jamaica.
Great. Can't wait to cut that out.
Yeah, right. That's an edit.
No, and then we did snorkeling, and then we were there for a wedding. So wedding was beautiful.
Was it? Was gorgeous.
They got married on a cliff,
Nice.
and like with the sun setting behind them.
Oh wow.
Like Jesus, like you can't get.
Did they have to wait? Did they set the time at a certain time to like, make
Well,
sure
yeah,
they
you
hit
gotta-
that?
yeah, so
yeah,
the
the
sun
wedding
goes
was set to go at 5.
Did you did you do that with your wedding? What are you talking about?
No, you can't.
You can't just be like, oh, we're having
Yeah.
a sunset wedding. It starts at 2.
no. But I know. But
Everyone's
like,
just hot waiting.
Did people
damn.
have to wait? Like, oh god, okay, wait, we gotta get the right sun. We got the right thing. I'm imagining like a film set. Like we gotta wait for magic hour.
No,
like
no,
something like that.
It ended up working. It ended up actually working out because
do this all the time. there.
it rains like clockwork at like 3 and 4 there. So like
Rains,
For 2 hours straight, you mean?
Yeah, it rains.
but like I've never heard of
3
rain.
and
I've never
4.
heard of rain happening at clockwork.
Oh, it was every single day. It was like 2 or 3
Wow.
downpour for about 5 minutes. And then on the day of the wedding, it was downpour for about 25 minutes. Like, oh shit, that sucks. It was like it was during the cocktail hour. It just started pouring ass rain. We're all like huddled underneath this little umbrella. It's
like the fucking-
we're like eat hors d'oeuvres. Like everyone's next to each other. It's like this sucks.
The GNR video. It's like November rain. People are just slamming through cakes, just diving.
So yeah, it was fun. I don't think I'd ever go back to Jamaica though. After I did it once, I saw.
You've been there.
I
you
had the
lived it.
experience, but like there's so many other places that I want to go in the world.
Yeah,
So I'm not
definitely.
I don't think that needs a revisit.
Awesome. All right, guys. Well, thanks for listening to us. We're going to be talking about Return to Oz, so stay with us. We'll be right back.
Hello, Dorothy. How are you?
I wish I wasn't tied down.
Nothing to worry about.
What are those?
Oh, when you're ready, we'll just put them over your ears, and pretty soon they'll draw all those unpleasant dreams out of your head. Then when you wake up, you'll never be bothered by them again.
Hey guys, we're back. We're talking about Return to Oz, the Disney film Return to Oz. First thing I want to ask is, and I'm going to ask this specifically to Mike first because this is his pick.
No, go with me last.
Okay, I'll go with you last. I'm going to go with Chris first. We're going to put Chris on the hot seat first. Chris, I cannot figure out what makes this a cult film. So what makes this a cult film? I read, before you answer that, it's because it's a closer adaptation to the books, but I didn't get that impression. If it was closer to the books, then it still stinks. What?
I don't know because I don't think this is a cult film. I don't consider it a cult film in any way. Like other than the fact that it's, I would say it's artistic, but I don't think it's a cult film at all.
Kyle, what makes it a cult film?
I honestly, I don't know. I don't know. That's my answer. I don't fucking know. I think I don't know there's a cult following. I know I can understand that people are stoked about it because it's a little closer to the original book. It was a total flop when it came out. Like it lost ungodly amounts of money when it came out, and people picked it up on the home market, but I don't know why.
All right, Mike, you are last. Then why is this a cult film? Please tell us.
Okay, Cody. Well, you hit the nail right on the head. The reason why is it is a closer adaptation. There's actually somewhere around 12 novels of the Oz franchise, right?
Uh-huh.
The Wizard of Oz, the one that we know, the musical, is just the first book, which is where Dorothy, she tornado hits her, she goes to Kansas, she takes on the Wicked Witch of the West, she meets the Wizard of Oz, and all these things happen. The only thing is that the Wizard of Oz, the entire Oz franchise, is an incredibly dark tale.
Okay.
And the musical is very lighthearted for the most part.
Yes.
There's musical numbers, there's munchkins dancing around, they're having a great time,
Sure.
But this movie basically deals with the next two books, which is the Marvelous Land of Oz, and what was the other one?
Ozma? Return of Ozma?
Ozma of Oz.
Okay.
Right.
Ozma of Oz.
And basically, the character of Mombi and the Gnome King are like the really big villains that kind of permeate most of those novels.
Okay.
The Wicked Witch of the West, she dies in the first book. It's done. It's like an introduction to the world.
Okay.
And then it's not even Dorothy. Dorothy doesn't even come back a lot of times. Like she comes back, I think 3 or 4 books, something like that. But for the most part, it's different characters. It's more about the world of Oz, not necessarily about Dorothy's story in it. But this one does use Dorothy because she was the one that was most known.
My question is, so Disney did both of these films?
No, they didn't.
No,
they did not.
MGM did the first one.
Okay,
Yes.
MGM did the first one. Disney tried to jump on board.
Because Disney actually bought the rights to it, but no, wait, how did it work?
It didn't. They bought Disney did in fact buy the rights, but by the time they actually made this, all of the works was public domain, so it didn't
Right,
matter
that's
anymore.
the reason why. The only thing they had to buy, which they apparently spent a substantial fee on, was the ruby slippers, because in the original book it's the silver slippers.
Oh,
Okay, so they actually had to buy the rights to that because MGM had created that, but it was so well ingrained in the public sphere that they were like, well, we're not going to go back to silver slippers.
could
Like, it's
not
so
have
well
it.
known that the ruby slippers are like this big main thing. So that was the one thing they had to spend a bunch of money on. And this is why one of a number of things that made the budget of this film was, I think it was like $26 million to make this film. And
What? No way.
Yeah, it was
the
25.
budget 28. I got it
Oh,
right here.
shit.
Budget is 28 million.
And it made like 11 million.
It made
bucks.
11 million.
Yeah. And there's two
28
reasons why that happened. One, for a number of reasons. And there was actually a changing of guard over at Disney while Walter Murch was trying to make this film. And that caused them to go over schedule. And then he started going over schedule. And he actually got fired for a little bit. And it took George Lucas and Francis Ford Coppola to walk into Disney and say, like, you're going to hire this guy back.
Why? I would have said why.
I can tell you why. Why? That's because Walter Murch actually has a long history with both those directors, specifically Lucas. He co-wrote, with Coppola, he was the sound editor, and he won an Oscar for like Godfather, Godfather 2, Godfather 3, Apocalypse Now, and he actually co-wrote THX 1138.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Okay, but this is the first and only movie he directed.
No. Well, yes, it's the only film he directed. He quit directing after this film, and then he directed. Like,
I don't blame him.
He directed the pilot episode of Star Wars, like, what was it, Clone Wars, the animated film that was on Disney for a little bit.
Okay,
it's well received, but I mean, that was the only thing. That's the only time he ever went back to directing.
Because I feel like in talking of the style that he went for this movie, he played it so damn safe, in my opinion. And it came out. I know that like one of the big critic reviews for it was like, it's too dark for children. It's too dark for children. I actually was watching this, and the whole time I thought, man, if you could give this to a director like Clive Barker,
Oh my god, those Wheelers would be fucking
we would have
creepy as fuck.
we would have such a better film on our hands than what we got here, and it would actually be good because that movie needed to be visually stunning. And it was like the Wheelers. If you don't know what Wheeler characters are, they replaced the monkeys, and they're like rollerblading bad guys,
But they have wheels on their hands and
feet. Yeah, and the wheels are like stroller wheels.
Yeah.
They look like stroller wheels.
I was
And
most
so
impressed
upset
with
that.
their ability to actually manipulate and move around on those.
I hated that actor, the main one.
The fucking with the male pattern baldness.
I hated him.
I couldn't tell him apart, to be honest with you.
He was acting. He was acting. You know what I mean? He wasn't like acting. He was. I'm acting. Like that's how I feel like.
Well, all of the actors I think in this film are very big. They're very big.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Except Dorothy.
Mombi, except for, well, Dorothy, this is her first acting role. This is Fairuza Balk's first acting role. So, and she plays her part well. Like, do we want Dorothy to be big and fucking out there?
No, Dorothy was fine. I had no problem with Dorothy.
But let's say Mombi is huge. Dorothy, girl. Like, there's so much, like, over, like, dramatizing and projecting out into things and stuff like that. Like, even the movements are just really big.
But
like,
see, and then I found it dull at the same time, though. That's the problem I had because the camera shots. Oh God, the camera shots. The cinematographer on that, I wanted to slap in the face.
Why?
Yeah, why?
I thought he shot the most boring movie he could shoot.
Oh man,
They were pretty static, like cookie cutter shots.
It
There
was,
wasn't
man, and
anything,
it's like you have such
for something so stylishly.
Like, don't get me wrong. I actually enjoyed the material. I just was like, dude, if you guys would have amped this up to 11, you would have had something.
I feel
I
the
think
same
I
way.
agree with you as well. Yeah.
I wanted to like it a lot more because it was so artistic and it was, I thought the sets were great. I thought, it was very creative, but I fell asleep 4 times in this movie. 4 times I fell asleep. I rented it on Amazon, watched it, fell asleep about 20 minutes into it. Okay. Went back the next day because I was like, I got to finish this movie. Put it back to the point where I stopped it at, made it about another 15 minutes, fell asleep again. Okay, then it was only a 3-day rental, so I still hadn't seen the whole movie, so I had to rent it again.
Is this on my Amazon account?
No, this is on mine.
Okay, I was just making sure.
Did you use my Prime account?
No. Rent it again. Throw it on. I'm like, okay, there's got to be maybe like another 20 minutes on this movie. I look, the movie's like 2 hours.
It is a long movie.
Yeah,
it is a long movie.
And so I'm like, fuck, I got another.
But keep in mind,
50 minutes
they're covering 2 novels.
Yeah,
or at least
so-
they're trying to merge 2 novels together.
So I'm like, holy shit. So I get further into it. I'm like, okay, I like where this is going. I like what I'm seeing. Fucking fall asleep again. There's something about this movie that hypnotizes me to sleep.
I agree with you. I watched this movie on our flight to Florida, so a 3.5 hour flight, and I wanted to die like the whole time. But I couldn't.
So
but I
drastic.
couldn't.
But I loved
but I
it.
couldn't. I couldn't not watch it because I rented it through iTunes. And once you hit play, you only have 24 hours to watch it. And I'm like, well, I'm not gonna fucking watch the rest of this.
No, you went with Google. Google will give you 72.
I don't.
So, Mike,
I didn't know. I was just trying to figure out how can I load a movie onto my iPad. But I love the thing, and going back to what Cody was saying, the thing I love this movie. I wanted to love it so much because the concept is fantastic. It's basically like saying it creates the question like, did Dorothy fucking imagine the first movie? Like it actually, I thought it brought it up so much that I started to think like maybe it didn't actually happen.
And I actually want to say something. This is actually not even. People have argued this whether or not this is actually a direct sequel to.
It's
the
a
original.
sequel to the books. Like
It's not technically. There are some things that they're like a little weird about it, but I mean, for the most part, you can't change the first book and then go into the second and the third without addressing it. So we know Dorothy did go there. She does talk about how, this is the house that I crashed in, and then we killed the Wicked Witch of the East, and all that stuff actually does happen.
No, I know that, but what I'm saying is like, I wanted so badly to like it because it is such a cool concept. The way that they filmed it, it did play up the idea that Dorothy could be fucking kind of out of her shit. Because of like the tornado like really fucked with her. She has like PTSD or something, and she's making up all this shit, which is like, oh cool, what a great concept, but in practice it was so boring. The movie was so boring.
We're gonna get into that, by the way.
That's fine.
We're gonna get into that
That's fine.
later.
Mike, I mean, what, do you have anything to say to? Because like, I fell asleep too.
In terms of the
and you watched it in the daytime.
I did.
The overall environment of this film is definitely very bleak, which was one of the big criticisms about it is that it's dark and it's bleak.
What's the thing?
And one of the reasons why it's bleak is because Oz has been fucking bombed into depletion. Like, this is not the happy-go-lucky. The Munchkins are gone.
Yeah.
There's no happy-go-lucky. Everybody's been turned to
all...
fucking stone, for Christ's sakes. And all we have left is this sparse world where there's these Wheelers and some fucking one guy named TikTok that's, like, still around, and then a Gnome King who's literally
like
a fucking
Man.
rock. Let's be honest. Like, he can't get much boring than
I
a
saw
rock,
a lot
but
of like never-ending story in this
it is.
movie.
It's very much,
but not as good.
But
No,
I want
not
to
as
say
good.
something about this. This comes from a point in film that is very close and dear to my heart. Okay, I feel that children's films, especially during the '80s, with the Amblin films, things like that, a lot of children's films were very dark, like Labyrinth.
They dealt with
The Dark Crystal,
with more adult themes.
Yes. And then towards the '90s, we started getting into this Disney-ish kind of thing where it was like Hocus Pocus and stuff like that. And then nothing against Hocus Pocus, it's fine, but there's nothing menacing about those witches.
That's true. That's true.
Everything is very much like,
all the kids' movies
like,
did have like a really creepy edge. I mean, just look at what is it? The Adventures of Young Sherlock Holmes.
Very dark film.
Very, very dark film.
Very
and that's
dark
supposed
film.
to be a kids film
Exactly.
in the 80s, but no, I
and that's
agree
how
with you on
that's what
that.
the 80s brought. And then there was this separation during the 90s and maybe the early 2000s where we drifted away from that. And it wasn't until I saw Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone where he just fucking melts off Voldemort's face, where I was applauding at the end of that because I was like, oh my God, we're going back to this. Like a children's film that's dealing with death as a real possible outcome and dark overtones to the entire film.
Yeah.
The
Like, and
darkness
basically
of it
scaring the
was
shit out of
cool.
children.
Like I like the darkness of it. I mean,
See,
that's one thing that I enjoy.
I
But
did not.
it just took too long for me to really just.
No.
I can't even remember very much about it. I feel like it was just so all over the place, and there was just too much to try to
Here's my
take
thing,
in and
though.
understand. And
They-
if it's that hard to understand, then it gets lost in the
They try to go.
translation.
They try to go dark. They like. I also feel like maybe the studio effed with this movie a lot because they tried to go dark in the beginning. They did. They effed it up. They should have gone way darker, in my opinion, with the Nut House. Okay. So
you want
this-
like a rated R version of this movie?
I really do.
Yeah.
Because
Or at least a PG-13.
like yeah, exactly. Because what happens is this is 6 months after the original book, we'll say, instead of film, but I still relate it to the
I
original
just say
film.
film.
We're all going to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no way you can. It's a classic. Like,
So-
there's no way you can get around
So
it.
it takes place 6 months after the tornado hit. Like her uncle is effed up in the head. His legs like he broke his leg, and his aunt says no, his leg's healed. He's just
He just drinks.
like
Just yeah.
he's dead inside basically.
Yeah.
And then she's like, "Come on, we're gonna go for a trip." And then she takes her to Aunt Em takes her to a nut house and
Right.
drops her off.
Yeah,
That's one
she
thing I
leaves
actually-
her at a doctor for shock therapy.
Shock therapy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess the argument is shock therapy is new, so this woman is just being ignorant, and she's just saying, "Well, the doctor's got it under control." That's one thing I don't like about this film is by the end of it, Auntie M is not criticized for just
I agree. That was,
dropping off her kid.
that was
And even at
my-
the end, Dorothy's just like, "Auntie M, I still love you." And it's like so weird that she's not like, "You just tried to send me to a guy that tried to put fucking volts of lightning through my head."
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
nothing ever is ever said about that.
So,
But-
anyways, we get introduced to the nut house, which could have been way creepier, dude. They could have gone like the orderlies could have been creepy. The place could have been creepy. Like they could have, and like the Ozma character, she could have had a more ghosty feel to her that would have made it even more eerie. And like they just could have done so much more in there. Instead, it was still a little too bright for me. It was still a little too corny as far as the darkness goes. Whereas like I said, dude, I can see Clive Barker taking that and just like, hey, I'd say, good dude, here's your source material. Let your imagination go crazy on these creatures, and I can see a whole different movie that would not only scare kids but scare the shit out of a grown ass adult.
Yeah, even a Tim Burton at that time could have done something good with it.
Oh,
I
agree
don't know.
with-
I think he butchered Alice in Wonderland.
No, we're talking about this is early though. I mean, then when was this film made?
85.
So
85.
he was like
Yeah.
kind of starting to come up. Like he was doing Batman and shit,
Yeah.
right?
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, I brought that.
To 85, Tim Burton, I give you that.
Yeah.
Not today's Tim Burton.
Right,
No.
that's what I'm talking about. If he made it back when this film was
Because
made.
I do feel like this type of book this comes from around the same era as like a Lewis Carroll, Alice in Wonderland thing, and that's the other thing I love about it is that I mean I'm gonna guess I'm the only one that's read these books before.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean these books are to me I feel like this is what like J.K. Rowling in 100 years people will look at her as being just like an L. Frank Baum or a Lewis Carroll. Like they created these books that dealt with very heavy things. And if you read the books, like just for instance, the first Wizard of Oz, there's a scene where actually Dorothy's explaining to the doctor about the Tin Man, and she's saying like, well, yeah, he had the enchanted axe and he cut off a piece of his arm every single time until he was just all made of tin, right?
Yeah.
That's the story of the Tin Man.
Yeah.
Is that a witch enchants his axe, and the axe every time he swings it just chops off a piece of him, right? But he has a friend who can make is like kind of like what I guess imagine like a magical robotics kind of guy.
Yeah.
That basically replaces all of his pieces, right?
Yeah.
And he does it so many times that all of a sudden he's just all made of tin, and the only thing he forgets is his heart. That's the only thing he can't put back into him. And the problem, the most depressing thing about the story is that he's in love with a Munchkin girl, and then he can never, and after he's put all back together, he can never like rekindle that love with her because he has no heart. And that's what initially drives the Tin Man to go to the wizard to get his heart back. Like there are a lot of adult themes in it.
Yeah.
I mean, the Tin Man alone, there's a scene where in the book where he's walking down the yellow brick road and wolves attack him, and he cuts every single one of their heads off. And that's how it's dealt
Yeah.
with.
I think
Like-
the problem is that we were like because the Wizard of Oz film by MGM was so successful and it's so ingrained into us because it was right when video, I think it was one of the first like VHS that were really popular, and when people were starting to get home entertainment systems, like everybody had the Wizard of Oz. We all grew up with a copy of the Wizard of Oz.
And it's one of the
around
biggest,
us.
the first films. I think the Technicolor, I think, was the first one.
Yeah. I think it's one of the first films that was put on DVD as well when DVD came out.
Yeah, so it's it's a departure, like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 was such a departure from the original. Like I think but the difference between those two is obviously Tobe Hooper directed both films,
right?
And this one, it was a totally different company. It was a totally different director. But why would they go from something that was so successful for this one company down a totally different road?
Well, it's the same reason why I love this film. And the reason why is because I did read the books. So imagine right now that Harry Potter comes out and the first film they do is a musical. Right? Yeah. How many people would have been so fucking pissed off about that?
Not me.
Well, maybe not you. But what I am saying is the reason why this film does have a cult following is because it's the Oz film that everybody wanted kind of to have. It's not perfect because it does merge the two stories. It doesn't hit every plot point correctly.
Right.
But it is the essence of what those books were about. As where the musical, as loved as it is just such a departure from those books.
Let me tell you who my favorite. Can I tell you? I'm gonna get into a favorite character real quick.
Go for it.
My favorite character in this film, besides TikTok, which we'll talk about TikTok when we talk about effects.
Okay.
But was what's her name? Mombi.
Yeah.
Dude.
Who's that?
Again, could have been done so much more over the
witch.
Yeah.
Could have been so much done over the top with the switching of the head stuff. Could have been so much darker and stuff like that, but still creepy.
Yeah, no, I thought I thought she was a really good character in terms of creating fear and terror. I mean, it was a creepy character. It was a creepy concept. She stole the heads of all the people that lived in the Emerald City, and she just interchanged their heads like she would like a nightgown or a dress or something.
Yep.
It was like, I feel like number 32 today, and she like fucking pops
and not only
it
that,
on,
but like the creepy thing about it is the way that she analyzes it. Like when she sees Dorothy's face, and she's like, "Well, you're not an adult yet." And I can tell you're not going to be beautiful, but there's a prettiness to you. It, almost like someone would pick out a pair of fucking shoes.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they're not the greatest pair of shoes, but I kind of like the color.
Yeah.
That might go with my bag. Like that's kind of how she's looking at Dorothy Gale.
Can we talk about Dorothy's escape?
Yeah.
Okay, like how fucked up did anybody else think it like this moose or whatever it is, its last memory is like grazing on a field, enjoying life, and then it's brought back to life, and it's a fucking couch for a body and palm trees for wings. Like, how does it not just like it's like that's so fucked up?
There is a part of it that
so
makes me wish that its first lines were like, "I'm an abomination, Dorothy."
I know, right?
Kill
That's what I was,
Kill
I was
me
waiting
now.
to hear.
But he takes
Such
it
an
with,
abomination
he takes
of
it
life.
with such breeze that it's just like, well, I don't really know how to use my peg legs.
I don't have
Yeah.
wings. Sure,
Yeah.
you do.
Can I tell you who my least favorite character was?
Who?
The fucking chicken.
Oh my god, so fucking annoying.
is, by the
her
way,
one-liners are so shitty and annoying.
And it's no one's favorite character. It's basically the Jar Jar Binks of this film. It
really
is. Yeah.
But it's also like the hero of the film.
Well,
Yeah, it is,
She is because
definitely.
she's ultimately the thing that actually saves them all.
Yeah.
But
Just from
yeah.
terrible villains.
But how do you do a chicken? How does
Was
a
that in the book?
No, I don't think. It could be. I can't remember. I can't remember how the
And
Gnome
who
King
was
dies.
wait?
in-
What was
it's like in the third or fourth
what was the? Because I'm missing another character here. The Jack o' Lantern.
Jack Pumpkinhead.
Jack Skellington.
Jack Pumpkinhead.
Yeah, he's
that's his
Jack.
name.
He's just Jack.
Jack. What was with him and his mom?
Yeah, that was so weird.
Like,
Well, that's a departure from the book as well. The truth is the second book. It's not Dorothy. That's the main character. It's a little kid named Tip, who is a like an apprentice, and he works under Mombi, and he steals that dust that he sprays to make things come to life. And one of the first people he does is Jack, and Jack becomes like his kind of scarecrow. He kind of takes place of the scarecrow.
The mom issues, though.
oh
Yeah.
god.
But in this one they gave him these mom issues.
who made the king? Who made Scarecrow the king?
The wizard.
Yeah.
Well, in the books, the wizard does.
I mean, come on.
Let's talk about the movie.
Why does
I know. I'm trying to explain. I'm trying to give some backstory to all of this because
you're giving some.
This is why I don't think it connected with audiences.
You're giving backstory because none of us like this movie. And
but
you're trying to explain to us why.
The newest film with James Franco kind of deals with it a little bit better than even the musical did. That basically the wizard takes control of Oz, but he knows he's a fraud the whole time, and it isn't until Dorothy comes up with the Tin Man and the Cowardly Lion and everything like that, and they walk in there and they ask him to give me a heart, give me a brain, give me this, and he can't do it because he's not a fucking wizard.
Right.
And in the book, he does it in weird wordplay, like the way he gives the fucking Scarecrow a brain is that he puts tacks and nails in his head and he goes, "Now you're the sharpest guy in Oz." Like that's how the book is.
Enough of the book.
Okay, I'm sorry, but I'm trying to give some backstory
to this.
From
this point forward, we're focusing on the film.
Let's talk about
Let's
talk about the effects and set design of this film because the set design bored.
I cannot understand how you can even say that.
No, I disagree. I think the set design was really good.
It's so unbelievably
I thought it was really good.
detailed and immaculate.
Yeah.
Like
I'm a big fan of post-apocalyptic or dark stuff. So
this is like a fantasy post-apocalyptic.
Yeah, and I did like the city. The city was just in rubble. I thought that was really cool, and it was a cool angle to see. Oh, Cody's rolling his eyes.
Yeah, because it was a matte painting done shittily.
There was
I don't
a lot
think
of
anything.
matte. There's a lot of matte paintings.
The background is definitely matte painting, but I mean, when they walk into the Emerald City and all those stone statues.
Where did the budget go? Did it go to the Gnome King?
No, we already covered that. The budget went to buying the rights to use Ruby
they weren't
slippers.
that much for the Ruby
No,
slippers.
it wasn't that much for the Ruby set, but I wouldn't even say a substantial amount. It was just a very high fee for something like
the
that.
sets are definitely
for one
cost a lot of
thing,
money,
which is just
dude.
one
to build
thing.
that
It was
shit.
the visual effects, because keep in mind what year it is and the amount of visual effects they had to do. Like, that was probably really expensive.
My
back
favorite
then.
visual effect, though, had to be TikTok.
I think TikTok's great.
I thought he was dude, you know how they did that?
Mm-mm.
Did anyone read that?
Some dude in a costume?
It was, yeah, but did you see how far apart the legs were? Like, TikTok's legs are super far apart. There's no way a person can walk like that.
Did he have to hold a stick or something?
It was a gymnast that was in there basically doing a handstand and walking in a handstand. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Well, let me just say something about this film, and I think Walter Murch, being that he was a huge fan and worked with George Lucas for so long, how much of Star Wars the original is taken from this? The way they did the effects and things like that.
Oh, yeah. I felt a lot of that.
And tell me the ending, the parade at the end, isn't the same goddamn scene. It's just a big parade, and it's like, hey, let's buff up the droid.
That was the thing that I
give
thought
him
was
a
so funny.
buff.
I was like,
Yeah.
oh, look, he's like C-3PO.
It's exactly,
He's
it's
all
almost
shined up.
exactly frame for frame like what I would, like the
Dude,
same goddamn scene.
Yeah.
TikTok takes out some wheelers like they're just nobody's business.
He's like spinning and shit.
It's like a helicopter.
He knocks him out.
He's like a badass army general or something like that, isn't he? He was like part of the army. He was part of the army.
I did feel a lot
Oz
safer
Army.
when he showed up.
And he has the best. And he has the best line of the film. It's my favorite line of the film.
What is it?
Is when Jack Skellington's walking up and Dorothy tells him, explain to him the plan, and he goes up and he's like, so do you understand the plan? And then TikTok's is just like, yes, I understand the plan probably better than you do. And he's just such an asshole about it.
Here's what happened to Toto. Why is he such a bitch in this movie? Why does everyone hate him now? Until the end,
Nobody hates Toto. He just doesn't. He doesn't make it to Oz.
Go home, Toto. You can't go on this adventure, Toto.
Oh, dumbass.
What was he going to take him to the asylum?
Yeah. Dude. I'm so glad we went back to that because I wanted to. Before we take a break, I wanted to talk about how crazy the Doctor is. The Doctor is obsessed. He burns in the fire because he's obsessed with the machines. And the other part that's really creepy is that he has people living underneath them. The people that are damaged are living underneath in the basement.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They have a people under the stairs scenario going on in that insane asylum, which is crazy. Like, because he's crazy. The dude was crazy.
And Cody, more than that, and we'll get back to that.
Oh, I'm sure it's in the book. We're going to talk about
Cold War.
We'll talk about the movie more when we get back. We're talking about Return of Oz. We'll be right back, guys.
Oh, this is terrible. Suppose I meet another gump. I die a second time of embarrassment.
I don't think you'll have to worry about meeting any other gumps up here.
Tell me who you are and why you have come all the way to my kingdom and what I can do to make you happy.
It must be the Gnome King.
Where is he? I don't see anybody.
My name is Dorothy Gale, Your Majesty. And these are my friends.
Hey guys, we are back. We're talking about Disney's Return to Oz. Before we took a break, we were talking about how crazy the actual doctor was. He was obsessed with machines. He ran back into the fire. He died in that fire, the only person to die. Which also, I'm going to talk about the end of the film because that's at the end of the film. He also has people living under the stairs. So he's crazy. Is there more to that, Mike? You were saying there was more to that.
There is more to that. And Kyle, he kind of hit it on the head a little bit. So everybody in the asylum makes a showing in Oz, right?
Yeah.
So you got the doctor, he's the Gnome King.
Mm-hmm.
Mombi is the nurse.
Mm-hmm.
The wheeler is the guy that's wheeling the thing.
Yeah.
And then we have Ozma, and not only that, but the electrical machine that she's strapped onto.
Yeah.
That's TikTok.
Yeah.
Like their little
the winding,
twisty things and stuff like that. So, I mean, I don't know how that goes on to whether or not how crazy he is. I mean, other than the Gnome King is batshit nuts.
Well, yeah,
and he
he's-
has his own batshit like. things that's going on with him.
he is wearing women's slippers.
Oh my god, that freaked me out.
Here's-
He's like little twinkle toes
I know
down
he's like
there.
dancing.
But hold on.
I think this is a big rock that's like manly and like scary, and then you see these fucking baby slippers
But
on.
if you had shoes that could make any wish come true, I don't give a shit. I want pumps. I don't give a shit. I wear some stilettos. I don't give a shit.
Here's my question though, and this is what made the ending confusing for me, especially with the Aunt Em thing that we kind of talked about earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Why is the nurse going to jail?
I think it goes to what you said about the people living under the stairs. I think what happens is that the place burns down, and then they realize like, oh my god, you guys were massively mistreating your patients.
Oh yeah, that would make sense.
And I think because I
Okay.
thought the same thing. I was like, well, what did she do other than being an asshole? Like she really didn't do anything
Yeah.
bad. And then I thought about it. I was like, well, if they had these guys and they were mistreating them down there, and they found like maybe there's dead bodies down there. Maybe they died in the fire.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, no, didn't they make a point to say the only person that died in the fire was
Yeah,
okay,
they did.
maybe so.
They
but
probably just found all these like fucking these like people.
you're like, what have you been
treating
doing to these people?
horribly.
Well, we comatose them with fucking shock therapy, and then we just put them in a basement. Like, and there's like, okay, well, you can't do that. Even in the 1800s, apparently, you can't
Yeah.
do that. You know?
By the way, it was like 1899, right?
It was.
Yeah, it's right
1900
on the
was
new millennium.
they're
Yeah.
partying like it was.
Not the new millennium. The
Oh
new,
my
the
god!
new
Did I just say
century.
1999?
No, I was just saying.
Partying
that-
like it's 1899.
That's what they were doing. So
anyhow, Mike had a good point that he wanted to bring up.
Well,
and
what-
I'm kind of curious to hear about it.
that's what I was going to say. What is this film about?
Well,
Because-
let's go on. What do you all think the film is about?
Well, I mean, honestly, what I think the film is about a crazy ass little girl. I honestly like the way I looked at it was I was like she was crazy, and she got shocked, and because they said something like you'll be out for like a couple of hours.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I just envisioned this
As
it
a
was
dream.
all as a dream. Like she
Okay.
actually got shocked and she went into her dream when she got shocked.
But
that was my theory.
if she was in a dream, then that wouldn't explain why they found her
No,
by the river.
Right.
So
No,
that
yeah,
theory's gone.
blew that theory out. Well, they found her because that's why that lady's going to jail. She threw her in the river.
No.
I don't think
Threw her in
so.
the river.
I think Cody's close, and I think it's about a girl who had a traumatic event, a tornado. She was like whipped up in a tornado. She's dealing with post-traumatic stress, and she's creating these worlds for herself to deal with it. And this movie is just an extension of that, like the shock therapy.
Okay.
And even though I don't think she actually does get shocked, everything goes dead before it actually happens. But I think the stress that was created from that rekindled or fired back up this fantasy world for
Okay.
her to safely deal with it.
Okay, Chris.
Yeah,
Anything?
yeah. I think you're all right.
Okay.
Thank you, Chris.
I'm gonna go on what you guys are saying because I think you guys are totally on the right track, but it goes fucking deeper.
Okay.
It goes way deeper. Okay. So I think this film, I don't even think they're implying it. I think they're hitting you over the fucking head with it. I think they are seriously saying that Dorothy Gale is not only somebody that suffers from delusions of grandeur, but even schizophrenia and multiple personality syndrome. Okay.
Okay.
And the reason why I think this is because, like you said, so everybody in the asylum that's there ends up showing up in Oz. That was Toto.
Okay.
Oh, Toto's here.
Toto's
we have a
here.
special guest in the studio.
It's Toto from the film. He's still alive. Anyways, so everybody that shows up in the asylum, like I said, shows up in Oz, right? Yep. So I agree with you, Kyle, that I think that this is a way that Dorothy has created this magical world in her head so that she can deal with the everyday stresses of reality.
Yeah.
This is how she's dealt with it. It's similar to PTSD, something like that. But it goes further. Here's the thing. If you go back and you watch the film, Ozma, in my opinion, is the Tyler Durden to Dorothy Gale. And go back and look at it. Watch every single time that Ozma shows up in reality, no one acknowledges her existence. She shows up into rooms without opening doors or closing doors. She just appears, right? Even when she gets the escape, who saves her? It's Ozma. Ozma just shows up after everybody just leaves the room a second later. And she lets her out of the electric thing, and they run down the stairs. And there is one scene where Mombi Nurse points,
I thought
like a
she
flashlight,
actually
but
saw her.
she says so, like that's all she says, which is just a generalized statement. She's not even acknowledging like, oh, you two, nothing like that.
Oh, the way they cut it, I gathered that she acknowledged her existence, but I agree with you. She did seem like a ghost.
Okay, so now we take this back into Oz, right? What is the portal by which that everybody is witnessing Ozma? How is she envisioned?
In mirrors.
Always in mirrors.
Always in
and
mirrors.
what do mirrors reflect?
A reflection of
a reflection
herself.
of something, right? So you watch this the whole time. She's trapped in mirrors. The only time that anybody ever really acknowledged her, other than Dorothy, is Mombi saying, like, nobody even remembers you. Like, we're keeping you here. Like, no one remembers who you are. We got rid of all these people, right? Flash to the very end of the film. There is a wish that Dorothy makes with the ruby slippers on her feet. And what does she say?
I don't remember.
She says...
I was probably sleeping.
She says... everybody's rooting for her. She's like, be the Queen of Oz, Queen of Oz, Queen of Oz. And all she can say is like, well, I gotta go home, but I just wish I could be two places at once. And that's when Ozma comes out of the mirror, and then Dorothy grabs her by the hands and pulls her out of the mirror.
Okay.
So my argument is that Ozma is a personification of herself. She's the person that she wants to be. She's like that character that...
in her own reality.
In her own reality.
Or her inside of her
This is
head.
her way of being two places at once. She's not only Ozma, but she's also Dorothy Gale.
Right.
Where she is in Kansas is where she is in Oz. And then if you flash forward even 5 more minutes, she's back in Kansas. She's back at home. Ozma shows up in the mirror.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And then she's like, oh my God, Auntie M, come up, come up, come up. And then Ozma's like, shh. You know?
Yeah.
And then right after that, Auntie M goes, what is it, Dorothy? And all she does is she looks in the mirror and she goes, nothing. It's just a reflection.
Deep.
Boom.
I think that is where this film is going, is that Dorothy Gale is crazy. She is nuts. But she has created this world that she can deal with the stresses of life. And in it, she wishes she was Ozma. And that's who she is in that world.
Now,
Is she nuts?
I have a quick question though. Seeing how I know we already said no more talk about it, but is there any kind of nothing like that in the book? Where
That's not something that's in the book.
Okay, so this
as far
is
as
something
the
that
book
was
is
written
concerned,
into the film.
it's like Wizard of Alice in Wonderland, which also has that kind of thing. Like, is Alice crazy? But
Yeah.
in the books, they don't suggest that she is or whatever like that. And in the books, no, there's nothing like that. This
Okay.
is something that was purely based on the filmmaker and where he was going with this.
Interesting. It's an interesting theory, and I can kind of see.
I can see it. No, dude, I definitely see it. I kind of thought that like that was like my kind of thing too. I was like, well, I knew right from the get go. I was like, she's crazy.
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
And I was like, I always thought of Ozma as a ghost. I didn't really link it to her being Dorothy herself.
It's just such a weird the fact that they always use mirrors and stuff like that. I feel like with film symbolism, they have to be knocking you over the head and telling you that.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
she is just batshit crazy, and this is just some world that she's created.
And she's not even there. She's just in this
Yeah.
asylum.
I mean,
Well, was this a reflection of the author? Like, what's the author kind of crazy?
no,
L. Frank Baum? You mean the author of the original novels?
No, he's saying that this theory has nothing to do with the books.
It has nothing to do with the books.
We're not
This
talking
is-
about the books anymore.
Yeah, we're done because I think we've already talked
Yeah, we've
enough
already
about the
talked about
But if
goddamn
there,
books.
if there
I think
ever
I
was
went
going
on
to be an influence on it, it would. I mean, on this, what we're talking about.
This is
here,
the
it would be,
departure, I think,
What was
from
the
the
author
books.
going through of the story?
No. He's saying the movie is telling this story, not the books.
Yeah,
Yeah.
This is
So
this
this
is
is
purely
solely the movie.
the purely film choice that they went with this.
Okay.
And I think they did try to do just that. You know, like with the Tim Burton Alice in Wonderland, they don't even touch on that whether or not she's batshit crazy. This
Yeah.
film, I think they just fucking hit you right over the head with it.
Mm.
You're
Yeah.
just like, yeah, she's crazy. She's nuts. You
Yeah.
know?
Well, and that's why I think Auntie M is like, again, the why the ending doesn't make sense, because like Auntie M is, you can tell she's at her wit's end in the beginning of the film, because Henry,
Yeah.
he's all like, he thinks his leg's still broken. He's crazy. Now she's got a crazy kid. She's trying to run this farm. You know, she's just trying to do some work. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? She's just trying
Well,
to
they
live
don't
her
have any
life.
money anymore because the
tornado
took away
everything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's like kind of primitive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and then the scarecrow, what happened to his face?
His
Oh
face.
my, oh my God. Well, let's get to more of a humorous topic. But,
Yeah, sure.
But I fucking love that theory. That's a great theory. It's a pretty sound theory.
I expect one extra TikTok from all of you because of that theory.
You will
That's what
get
I'm
you will
saying.
get a quarter of a talk. We're do you want to do? I want to do favorite scenes actually.
Okay.
What's your favorite scene then?
At the end of the film, they're picking items.
Mm-hmm.
So they go to the mountain, and he says, "What is it? It's basically to get out, or for him to put everything back to normal. They have to pick 3 items and say, oh, this has to be a correct item.
Yeah.
And if you pick the wrong item, he gets your soul, basically, which is fantastic. And the whole time, it was so funny because the whole time, each character from this troupe of them is going in there, and nothing's happening, and you don't see them again. They're gone, basically, and it just comes down to just Dorothy's left. And she goes in there, and the next scene, it's like she's been whisked away to an Antiques Roadshow. That's it's just a bunch of old shit everywhere, and I just thought it was so funny, and like it almost was reminiscent to me of like Snake Plissken playing basketball for his life. It was so cheesy and fucking thrown together and stupid. Like who thought?
Well, what I think is funny about that same very scene is because when she walks in, TikTok's there. And he has this grand scheme that he's figured out. He's just like, well, I'll transform into something, Dorothy, and then you can give a hint. That never comes to fruition.
No, actually, it doesn't do anything. He just does it, and he's gone, and it's like,
and he's
okay,
gone.
I'm at
And then
square
she's just
one.
like, well, that didn't work.
Yeah.
And then she just gets balls lucky. She luck boxes her way to get like one green ornament, and it absolutely turns out to be the freaking scarecrow.
So here's my question then. If we're going with Mike's theory on this, and this is all in her head, now is this stuff that's taking place? Do you think in the asylum, like she's?
I think it's
in
the river.
in the river, I think she does get washed ashore, and
she's unconscious.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think that's another reason why Ozma disappears under the water and she never comes back. Like she's just completely gone. And like nobody ever acknowledges the fact, well, what about the little girl that I was with that helped me escape? She didn't even say it.
She didn't even say that.
Like nobody acknowledges like, oh, there was another little girl.
Nope.
We got to go find
it's
her.
It's just like you step on the sand, you're done.
I don't think she's real. I think she really is a Tyler Durden, and that's why she can just appear in the rooms and stuff like that. Because they use that exact same technique in Fight Club.
Yeah.
They use the same thing. He just appears places, and they have conversations, but no one acknowledges those conversations even existed. Like, it's just these weird things that you don't pick up right on immediately, but on a second watching, you're just like, oh, shit, yeah, totally, every time.
My favorite scene. I'll tell you my favorite
Yeah.
scene. The credits. No, man.
Zing.
No, it's probably when TikTok was just beating the hell out of those annoying Wheelers.
Mm-hmm.
I hated the Wheelers. What a just a
No one
shitty
likes the
villain.
Wheelers.
What a
Yeah.
shitty villain.
But
you go from awesome flying crazy
Monkeys.
looking monkeys to shitty ass rollerbladers.
I
get it. Everybody,
Jokers on wheels.
I get it. Everybody hates rollerbladers. I get it. You know what I mean?
But I do want to say something,
the
and maybe this
Warriors
says something
on
about
fucking rollerblades.
Hey, don't you talk badly
Yeah,
of the
but
Warriors.
yeah,
I
no
like
shit.
the Warriors.
I
but
do want to go
whatever.
back to Walter Murch for a little bit. His entire history is based in sound editing.
Yeah.
I would
did-
like to say that the sound in this film is frightening.
It's
like
it's not-
every
it's not-
voice and everything is like seems
It's
manipulated.
not very good. Like,
It's
and
terrible.
actually,
So?
his credits are
Dude,
are so amazing. Like,
I was going to make a point to say how terrible the sound was in this movie.
I
It was
was-
so quiet.
I thought to myself, I hate all of the voices they chose for these characters.
See, that's my favorite part of this film. I think that like the Wheelers, I don't like them necessarily as villains, but that maniacal laugh
yeah, that was
that he
cool.
does, like all of that stuff, it like rekindles like kind of like the Warriors, like how big everybody is and how everybody has like a
No.
weird voice to them and has a weird.
we'll save that for
It
later.
was like it was like a henchman in a Joel Schumacher Batman.
Where was the neon at? When he
yeah,
did it?
that's all it was
Perfect.
missing.
Well,
Where's
neon
the
wasn't.
Where's the black light paint?
Yeah.
All right, I just Walt I don't know why he directed this movie. I still cannot figure that out.
I can tell
I
you
can't
why.
either.
He went to Disney and he told them I want to do a remake of the Wizard of Oz, and Disney was on board with it because they knew that they could get it done, and they were like, absolutely, let's do it.
I could have gone to Disney and done that.
You probably could have.
Oh,
you probably can
God.
still do it now. I mean, I gotta imagine it's still in public domain. Can you buy public? I guess you can buy public domain back,
What do you
right?
mean buy? It's public domain.
It's public domain, right? Once it goes into public domain, you can't buy it
No,
back.
no one can own rights
It's not
to it.
like the new like Sam Raimi owns all of Oz now.
No.
I can't imagine that.
No.
Yeah.
no.
So-
he just owns the rights to whatever's attached to the actual
Right. So I guess you
creation of
could
the
walk
film.
up there and say, "Hey, I'd like to do another Wizard of Oz movie." And they say, like, maybe another 5 years.
could literally, if you get the fund, you could do whatever you want with the Oz.
Yeah.
As long as you don't include ruby slippers, you're golden.
Yeah. Right. Totally.
Or silver.
Or
Silver.
whatever was created
Yeah.
for the films.
Yeah.
So does anyone else have anything else to say about this film?
I'm done.
I'm pretty much done.
It's rating time.
Let's rate this movie. What are we rating?
What are we
it?
rating it?
Yeah,
TikToks.
TikTok.
TikToks.
Fucking duh.
All right, TikToks. We're gonna rate. Who's gonna go first? I'll go first. I would have to give this movie. Okay, so with a little bit of backstory and Mike's theory, it bumps it up a little bit in my book. Still not dark enough for me. Still not. The visuals weren't good enough for me, honestly. Like TikTok was probably the best visual in the film. Gnome King is lame. His little henchman lame. Wheeler's lame.
His henchman? You mean the face in the rock?
Yeah, it's just like I just was and it's boring. It really is. It's long. You fall asleep during it. I would have to give it. I'm gonna give it 2.5 TikToks.
Oh, I will take that.
2.5
I will
TikToks.
take that.
And it only got a half a TikTok because of Mike's theory.
Oh, who's up next? Me?
Yeah, might as
No
well.
surprise, gentlemen. I'm giving it 5 TikToks.
Jesus.
When I saw this film when I was a kid, I saw it around the time it came out in the theaters. I think like right when it came out to video. Like I love this film, and I really do believe that it still stands up. Like I really think it's one of those films that hold up.
Not at all.
I know, I know you guys disagree, but and to the audience out there, give it a chance.
We're going
give
back.
it a chance. Watch it. Tell me what you think. Tweet us back to us. I don't even, you're not going to hurt my feelings.
Send Mike a personal email
Yeah,
so we
send
never
it
have
directly
to see
to me.
anything
I don't
about
even
this
care.
again.
But I love this film so much, and when I watched it the second time and a third time in one day, like I just had nothing bad to say about it. I still love it, still to this day. I really do.
Chris?
Okay. Well, from what I saw of the film, I like Mike's explanation. I think that definitely bumps it up for me. I do enjoy the sets. I think it was really creative. I'm never opposed to going a different direction with what would be considered like a franchise. I think sometimes that's cool. So that didn't bother me. I liked how it was dark, but ultimately, like, I would never watch this movie ever again. Like I would never buy this movie or put it on or anything or tell anybody to watch it. So with Mike's theory, which I think I like going deep like that. So I think it makes sense. I'm going to give it a 2.5 also.
Can I ask one real quick question?
Yeah.
So I talked to your girlfriend. What did she think of the film?
She fucking loved
Booyah! I knew it by the cadence of her voice.
Why? Why did she love it? I don't know. Like,
I don't know,
Okay.
but she did.
well, if she was here, she can give it 5 stars with you.
All right, Kyle, how many ticks and talks would you give this?
How many ticks and talks? Unlike Mike, I don't have youthful eyes giving me a bias to it, and I think that's really what's happening, Mike. Is that
No.
you're looking at it through your child eyes,
Possibly.
just like Cody was looking at Toxic Avenger through child eyes.
I did do that. I
Yeah,
admit
see?
it, Mike. I admit it. I'm
So,
not afraid.
This is my first viewing or even knowledge of the
Just
film.
shoot it to me straight, Kyle.
And no, I think it's I didn't find it. I found it interesting, but poorly executed. I thought it was boring. It dragged. The characters were annoying, especially the stupid chicken or whatever.
Belina?
Belina.
Terrible
Jesus
name.
Christ.
It'll be the one thing I agree with you on.
I agree
think
with
Belina is
I
very
agree with
irritating.
Chris. I will never watch this movie again. I will never tell anybody to watch this movie, and I will walk away from a conversation that starts about this movie.
Okay.
So with that being said, because of your theory, and I love it because it makes so much sense after seeing it, it still doesn't make me want to watch it again, though.
That's fine.
That being said,
Well,
I'm going to give
explain
it.
it. You don't have to
I'm
do it.
giving it 2 TikToks.
2 TikToks.
TikToks.
2 TikToks.
Well,
And your theory got an extra TikTok out of it.
Thank God.
That was a 1. This was a 1.
all
for
I,
me.
all I
was a
cared about
1.
on this
This was a
entire
1 for me.
episode was just building up maybe half a TikTok.
Maybe
half a TikTok, and I think I got it.
If you build up all the half a TikToks you got, that's 1.5 TikToks.
Yeah,
That's
you
right.
Got 1.5 TikToks.
That's right.
out
When
of
we
it,
average
so.
all this out,
sitting at
it's gonna
about
be
a 3
one
then.
better. Walter Merch needs to call me up and say thank you, Michael. Thank you. Thank
Hey,
you
guys.
for defending my dream.
Make sure you join us next week when we're going to review the cult film Mean Girls. I can't wait to talk about it. Lindsay Lohan's. That's what I call her. I love her. Lohan's. I can't wait to talk about her messed up life in this movie. It's going to be so much fun. All right, guys, join us next week.